need faith. You ain't got to be that smart. I flunked out of school. I ain't got no degree in nothing. You got to identify your gift and go do what you gifted at. You ain't got to be smart. You don't got to have a degree. You don't have to go to UCLA or none of that. You can be highly successful and go to no school. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates don't have a degree between none of them. They got more degrees working for them than a thermometer. Just go follow your dream, man. Go make your life happen. My whole career is dedicated to all my plunky teachers that told me, sit down, acting a fool. You ain't gonna ever make no money acting a fool. That's all I had. I just used what I had. Identify your God-given gift and go and get your life. Quit tripping because you don't have what a group of people told you need to be successful. If you're not a degree person, you can go to school all you want. If that's not in you, how you gonna get a degree? Quit letting people tell you the route to success when clearly God created you to be different. Just go that route. All my friends got college degrees, all of them. You don't have to go get a degree if you're not a degree person. Now, if you want to be a doctor, scientist, or lawyer, you got to get a degree. But if you're not that person, you can still make it. Quit tripping because you don't have what he got. You ain't finna be what he is. God made you different. Just go be different. You get paid to be different. People pay you to be different. Weird people make money. Regular people don't make money. Regular people make regular money. If God made you exceptional, go be exceptional at whatever it is. That's how you become. People pay for expertise. They pay for exceptional people. They don't pay regular people. If you focusing on being regular, you're going to have a regular life. It's nothing wrong with that. But if you aspire to something more than regular, you got to go be extraordinary. The difference between ordinary people and extraordinary people is one word, extra. If you put extra on top of ordinary, you become extraordinary. You ain't got to be like everybody else. If you do hair, go do everybody's hair. If you cut grass, cut everybody's grass. I'm telling you, man, you can be highly successful without a college degree. I don't have one.
Look, I don't want you to get to the end of your life and look back and think, I wish I hadn't wasted so much of my precious life on stuff that didn't matter. I wish I didn't let all that stupid worrying keep me from doing the things that I always dreamt about doing. I'm here to tell you that you can learn how to switch your thoughts to something more productive and optimistic. This is great news. Worry is a hackable thing.
That's why you got to work on yourself. Because life will send you some curves you cannot anticipate. The next thing is that whatever you do, you want to develop technical mastery. You want to be the best at what you do. You want to master it. See, part of self-motivation is you've got to find something that gives you a strong sense of competence. Well, you become known for that. You develop a reputation of being good at doing that. You set some high personal standards for yourself. You're not competing with anybody else. You're just unfolding yourself to be the best person that you can be. That you want to give the best quality service that you can give, because that is a statement about who you are. The other thing that's the key to self-motivation is recognize the fact that you're going to get into some slumps. Recognize the fact that you're going to encounter a great deal of failure in life. It goes with the territory. But in the face of that, you want to be relentless. When you want something, you don't expect everybody to say, oh, come on in, oh, you want this? Oh, great, we want to give this to you. You're such a nice person. You're doing it for your family, aren't you? Great. No, life isn't like that. No, many doors will be closed in your face. Many loans that you will want. And they'll say, no, you don't have enough collateral. You don't have enough credit. And most people will give up. But you've got to decide that I'm going to be fearless. I refuse to be denied. And you can't make a basket unless you shoot the ball. You can't hit a home run unless you take a swing at it. Most people won't even take a swing. Well, I probably won't make it anyhow. That's the conversation within. They probably won't give it to me anyhow. If you want something, you've got to be relentless. You've got to decide, I deserve this, and I'm going to have it. And you go all out to get it. When you want something out of life, you've got to be willing to go into action. Don't wait around for things to be just right. Don't wait for things to be perfect. Don't wait for the ideal situation. It will never be ideal. There will always be a reason. Well, as soon as the children grow up, as soon as I pay my bills, as soon as I get my divorce, as soon as I get enough money together, do what you can, where you are with what you have, and never be satisfied. A lot of people never take a chance in life. They don't want to take any chances. They want the situation to be ideal. See, that's not walking by faith. That's walking by sight. If I can see it, I'll do it. No. That's a lot of people say, if I can see it, I'll believe it. No. If you believe it, you can see it. And don't be disturbed because no one else can see it. That's not unusual. That is ordinary. But because you want some different kind of results in your life, you've got to be willing to be unreasonable. If you want unreasonable results in your life, you've got to be willing to be unreasonable. Part of being unreasonable, you don't judge according to appearances. Part of being unreasonable, you can see it because you believe it. That's part of being unreasonable. Part of being unreasonable, you're like Paul who said, you must have the faith to call forth those things that be not as though they were. That's part of being unreasonable. Most people won't do that. Most people say, call me when you get it together. Then I'll support you. The other thing is that one of the keys to self-motivation that empowers you is that you want to find a cause larger than yourself. Find something that you can contribute to. Find something that you can make a difference because you can. Part of what feeds your larger vision, part of what gives you a reason for being, part of what gives you your life is being able to give something back. So I can't afford to give anything. You can't afford not to give. Give your time. Give your talent. There's nothing just to go over and lick envelopes. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going over there. It's part of my tithing in the universe. Once you develop that special sense of mission, and that's what you develop when you're part of a larger cause than yourself, it drives you. You don't need an alarm clock to get up in the morning. You have special power. You go places and folk will like to be around you. They will know there's something different about you. When you go in, they'll say, hey, that's somebody important. I want to know who you are. I just want to be near you. That energy that you have, that consciousness that you will embody will affect everybody around you.
What if I don't get the raise? What if I look stupid my first day of work? What if nobody ever loves me? What if the swamp monster kills me? You need to punch those stupid worries in the face with 6 magical words, because this simple question breaks the pattern of worrying. Because if you think about worrying always begins with what if. In fact, my daughter used to call her worries the what if loop. I feel like I'm trapped in a what if loop, Mom. Well, guess what? You're trapped in a what if loop too. So you need just one fast, perfectly placed, boom, counterpunch. You need the same punch for every worry. So you get really good at punching every worry in the face. And that punch is, what if it all works out? That's the counterpunch you need to knock absolutely any worry and all overthinking away. It's pretty incredible. I'm here to tell you, in those moments when you get trapped in this, what if this, what if that, what if the, and you start spinning, you got to stop it. And the fastest way to stop the spinning is to say, well, what if it all works out? What if I get the apartment? What if I pass the test? What if the doctor says something and it's okay? What if he doesn't break up with me? What if he breaks up with me and it all works out? What if I get bad news and it all works out and I'm okay? It's a way to get back the feeling of control. Ask it repeatedly about the same problem, and it's like climbing up the ladder. And before you know it, the ladder, what if it all works out, has got you up so high, you are out of the hole of worry, and you have a completely different view of the situation. Listen, there will always be things that come out of nowhere. We can't stop the outside world. We can't stop the fact that you are probably going to worry about something every day. I mean, hello, global pandemic. People get sick. People say they don't want to be married. Jobs get taken away. The stock market drops. Shit happens. It's easy and normal to feel knocked down by life. But you can always use these 6 magical words to help you ride the ups and downs in life. What if it all works out? Doesn't mean it's going to work out today. One of the reasons why your brain loves the sentence, what if it all works out, is you haven't put a deadline at the end of it. The fact that you're saying, well, what if it all works out, automatically allows your brain to expand out of the current crisis, because you know, based on your life experience, that in the end, over the years, yeah, eventually, it does all work out.
If you're having difficult times today, instead of getting all bent out of shape, you need to see it as an opportunity to grow. You need to see it as an opportunity to develop character. God may be trying to do a work in you. And if you will pass that test and make the right choices, then God will promote you. And throughout life, God is going to, on purpose, allow us to go through certain situations to bring to light areas in our lives that we need to work on. If you find yourself always being around people that offend you and you're always getting your feelings hurt, well, there's a good chance that God is trying to teach you to quit being so touchy. God is trying to toughen you up a little bit. If you find yourself around people that are always rubbing you the wrong way, always irritating you, there's a good chance God is trying to teach you how to love the unlovely. He's trying to teach you a little bit about patience. Well, you say, Joel, I just can't stand my boss's personality. He gets on my nerves. I don't know when God is ever going to change him. Well, have you ever thought about God may be trying to change you? God may have put him there on purpose, like iron sharpens iron, to refine you, to purify you. Well, God, if you just ever change these kids, that's why I'm always upset. They just won't obey me. Now, let me tell you a secret. God is not going to change your children until you first allow him to change yourself. And if you would quit spending all your time and energy focused on everybody around you, and instead look inside and allow God to do a work in you, then God will change the circumstances. Then he'll change those other people. But as long as we're just giving into our feelings, getting all upset, throwing temper tantrums, being impatient, as long as we're not passing the test, then we're going to have to take it over and over again.
So he'll work on you until you call it nothing. What do you have to be grateful for? Nothing. Really nothing? What are you good at? Nothing? We went around the table the other day and I asked a group of people, what are you really great at? And it took us all a long time to answer. I wonder why that is. Because we're so humble? Or because the enemy has messed with us so much now? Because we're all on the verge of 40 and we've gotten so familiar with our deficiency. When you've lived in a deficit for a long time, it overshadows the oil that you do have. He wants you to despise your oil. He wants you to despise the season of life that you're in. He wants you to be thinking about how much time you used to have back before, or how much time you're gonna have when. Meanwhile, the question of the prophet is not what do you wish you had in your house? What do you have left? Because that's what God is going to bless, what you have left. You are his chosen vessel. And the oil you have is the oil you need. And the strengths you have are the strengths you need. And the experiences that you've had are the experiences that you need. But notice this, the oil only flows when it is poured. You can pray over it. You can cry over it. You can wish for it. But until you pour it, it will stay one small jar. If the enemy can't take your oil, he will try to get you to stop pouring. And some of you have stopped pouring. You got your heart broken. You poured your love into your last relationship and it didn't work out. And they left you and they hurt you and they turned away from you. So you stop pouring. And when you stop pouring, it stops flowing. You used to encourage people and then you got discouraged and you stopped encouraging. But God told me to tell you, keep on pouring. I'll pour more when I get more. But the way it works in the order of God is it becomes more as it is poured. Isn't it just like God to command you to pour something that you don't feel like you have enough of? Strange instruction. I don't have much poured out. It's the weirdest strategy in the world, but I'm gonna tell you, I think this stuff works. I think as you pour it out, it becomes more. Really, I'm convinced of it. Because I tried that thing where you feel sorry for yourself when you're discouraged. I tried the other thing where I encouraged somebody else when I felt discouraged. The first one took me deeper into my deficit and my discouragement. The second one is the weirdest thing because I didn't feel like I had it to give. I wanted somebody to encourage me. And bitterness will keep you from pouring what you have while you wait for what you want.
Eat and sleep bad, and that you do that. You do that.
Discouragement is with gratitude. What messes you up is you focus on the thing that's not happening. And that causes you to get discouraged. So whenever you get discouraged, you have to change your focus from what's not happening to what has happened. And it straightens you out immediately. Because what causes the downslide is if you get wrapped up into what ain't happening, it get ugly, man. And it just snowballs. But you have to focus on gratitude. People don't understand how serious gratitude is. You know, it's a serious principle of success. It's hard to be miserable and grateful at the same time. You know, I learned this at my mother's funeral, man, which was like the roughest. That week of my life was like chaotic, man. I thought I was gonna die. My mama passed. I was 40. I didn't do good, man. I thought I was crumbling. I really, man, I didn't know what that was, man. The most important person to me was gone. I was crushed. I thought I was gonna die. And at the funeral, my mother was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. And I'm devastated. My mother's in a casket. That's just not the picture I ever wanted to see, right? And I was struggling with her being up there. And the preacher stood up and he said, I know y'all hurting. I got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He said, but I want y'all to look around at this church. My mama had been a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. Church was packed. It was packed. He said, the overflow room is full. He said, we've put up projector screens in the parking lot. We don't do that on Easter. We just set up projector screens in the parking lot because so many people then came to see your mother off. Said, because your mother meant something to everybody. My mama's funeral was filled with the hood, the gangsta pimps, the hustlers, the dope boys, the police, the politicians, church people. He started talking about, he said, look how full this church is. Look at the lives she touched. Look what she meant to so many people. We got people in this church we ain't seen in years. He said, look at this. And I want you to think of all the incredible things your mother has ever done. And then he started listing the things she had done around the church and what people had said about her. And we started smiling. And this was the first time I had smiled in a week. That week was ugly for me. And he said, now listen to this. You see the smiles on your face? He said, joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. So when you get down and you start thinking about how dark it is, I want you to remember everything your mother taught you that was good. And that replaced all the negative thoughts I was having. Because joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. Well, now, you got to take that concept and apply it to your life. If joy and depression cannot reside in the same place, when you get depressed and you get discouraged, you got to replace it with joy.
Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. Success is looking for a good place to stay. So instead of going after it, you work on yourself. Personal development. See, the major question to ask on the job is not what are you getting? The major question to ask on the job is What are you becoming? See, the big question is not what am I getting paid here? The big question is, what am I becoming here? Because true happiness is not contained in what you get. Happiness is contained in what you become. So that's our major subject for tonight, personal development. Of all the assignments Mr. Schoaf gave me at age 25, this was probably the most difficult. In fact, I'm still working on this one. I think it's an unending challenge to see what you can become. The next subject is called Basic Laws. And it's good to study the basics. And I call these basics primarily because they come from the Bible. Now, I'm not a theologian or a minister, and that'll be apparent. But Mr. Schoaf taught me that the Bible was a good textbook for ideas and stories and success equations, how to live the better life. I found out that was true. He also taught me that the Bible is as practical as it is spiritual, and I found out that's true. If you look at your bank account and your income and you're not happy, there's several places in the Bible to check to see what the heck's wrong so you can make the changes. And we're going to cover some of those tonight, called basics. Okay, the next subject is my favorite, setting goals. Mr. Schoaf taught me how to set goals. What a favor that was. One morning at breakfast, shortly after I met him, he said, "Jim, let me see your current list of goals, and let's go over them and talk about them." He said, "Maybe that's the best way I can help you get a better direction started." And I said, "I don't have a list." He said, "Well, is it out in the car or home somewhere?" I said, "No, sir. I don't have a list anywhere." He said, "Well, young man, that's where we got to start." He said, "I can tell you right now, if you don't have a list of your goals with you," he said, "I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did. And that got my attention. I said, "You mean my bank balance would change if I had a list of goals?" He said, "Drastically." That day, I became a willing student how to set goals. And sure enough, learning how to set goals changed my life. And I often wondered why no one had ever taught me how to set goals up until age 25. I went to high school, but if they offered it, I missed it. I went to college for a year, never heard it. I worked for Sears, and to my knowledge, Sears never taught it, right? How to set goals. So here I am, age 25, married, my family starting, I've been to college, I'm working, and I still don't know how to set goals. But fortunately, when I was 25, I met the man who taught me how, and it revolutionized my whole life. Economically, socially, personally, it's incredible.
Loyalty has an expiration date. The problem is when you're the nice person, your loyalty lasts far longer to certain people than it should, because their loyalty to you has been expired. But you being a good person, you hang on to friendships and become forgiving far longer than you really should be. Loyalty has an expiration date.
I came to talk to you as living creatures who have found restrictions in the place that you once found nurture and found yourself imprisoned by narrow-thinking people and narrow-thinking circumstances and narrow evolving predicaments. I came to tell you that you cannot feed in one realm and stay in that realm, that if you get enough on the inside of you, you will find a discomfort in staying in the dimension that you once lived in. And I came to prepare your hearts and minds. If you're not prepared to go through some bloody stuff and some stinky stuff and some dirty stuff, you don't want to keep feeding on this kind of word, because if you feed on this kind of word, it will open up your mind and open up your thinking and open up your ideas and open up your concepts until all of a sudden you are uncomfortable in what you were once comfortable in. You're thinking on another level, and it's causing a separation, because what used to be funny isn't funny anymore. And what you used to enjoy, you don't enjoy anymore. And what you used to be satisfied with, you're not satisfied with anymore. And all of a sudden, you don't fit in the places you used to fit in. And you don't even understand it. And they think you're acting funny, and they think you're acting strange. And they say things like, "You forgot where you came from." I didn't forget it. I just can't stay in it.
God don't like you to surround yourself with people, things, and situations that's going to stop you from reaching the level of success that God has destined you in your career to get to. That's why God gave us free will. God gave us a choice. He is revealing to you over and over and over again that you are talented, you are beautiful, you are special, you are an individual. where God has destined your life and your career to be and go, you cannot get there with all of the people that you showed up. Normally when you find yourself cutting off dead weight because your boat is at its capacity. If the boat is at 1,500, and because you're loyal, you have your boat now at 4,000 pounds in capacity. You are now on a boat that has blessings and opportunities, but it's overweight. It's past its capacity, which means that if God has destined your life to get from here to where it's destined to be, you're carrying dead weight. Your boat is either going to sink, or God has destined your life and your career to get to the ultimate blessings and the goals and where you're supposed to be. Because you got all this dead weight and you're operating over your capacity, it's going to take you that much longer to get there.
I've got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. You tell your old twin you can stay in there if you want to. This might be okay for you, but I got to get out of here. Even if I have to fight my way out, I've got to get out there. If I've got to pull and pull, I've got to get out. I've got too much vision to stay in this rut.
I want to talk to you today about connecting with the right people. Your destiny is too big to get there on your own. God has already arranged certain people to speak faith into you. He's placed in your path people to inspire you, to help you grow and accomplish your dreams. But the reason some people never reach their highest potential is because they never get away from the wrong people. You've got to connect with people that understand your destiny, people that appreciate your uniqueness, people that can call forth your seeds of greatness, not people that are always pushing you down, telling you what you can't become, never giving you their approval, no matter how good you do. Life is too short to drag people along. If you will get the wrong people out of your life, then God will bring the right people into your life. And some of you, the only thing that's holding you back is your inner circle. The people that are closest to you, they're with you, but they're not really for you. You're constantly having to persuade them that you're okay and convince them to get on board. You're spending all your time and energy on someone that doesn't understand your destiny.
I'm going to change where I change. I'm going to transition where I transition. Ready or not, here I come. Like it or not, here I come. Celebrate me or not, here I come. The hardest thing to do, the hardest thing to deal with, the hardest thing to manage, the hardest thing to put up with is transition. The thing we hate the most is transition. We hate it because it takes us out of our element. It takes us out of our comfort zone. It takes us out of the place where we are secure and we've learned how to manage and control everything. You cannot control everything when you are in transition. It is what it is. It happens like it happens. I can't get my hair done and do it. I can't be pretty about it. I got to come out any way I can. I'm in transition. I can't meet with the board or get everybody to approve it. When my water breaks, get ready. Here I come. Touch a neighbor and say, move. Move. I'm growing out of this spot. Move. I'm coming into another dimension. Move. I see a door opening for me. Move. Born again, again, and again, and again. Because if you look back over your life, every so often, every so many days or situations or circumstances, you find yourself in a world that's too small and too tight and too limited, and you have to go through a birthing process from one dimension to get into the next dimension, and you are being born again and again. You get comfortable, and as soon as you settle all in and say, now I've got my life all nice and neat, and I finally got it just the way I want it, and oh, I've arrived, and I've reached my destination, and then you look around, and the world begins to lurch, and all of a sudden you have to recreate yourself and find yourself starting all over again. You were sure yourself over here, but now you're a student again over there. You knew how to do this, but now you're learning again how to do that, and you are born again.
Here's what leadership is: the challenge to be more than mediocre, the challenge to step up, to a new level, a new dimension. And here's what this new dimension has: opportunity and responsibility. But who wouldn't want the responsibility along with the opportunity if it builds an extraordinary life? You wouldn't want it any other way. The refinement of leadership. Make this list. Learn to be strong, but not rude. Some people mistake rudeness for strength. Rudeness we don't need. Strength we do need. Here's the next one. Learn to be bold, but not a bully. We need to boldly seize the day, boldly seize the opportunity, boldly seize the chance. But we don't need bullies. We don't need anybody to push anybody around. There's a whole new level of leadership, a new method of leadership. Here's what it is: leadership by invitation, not leadership by threat, not leadership by intimidation. That now shows the weakness of the leader. That now shows ego at work instead of skills. But it's leadership by invitation. Invite somebody to a better way of doing things. Here's what else it's called: leadership by inspiration, inspiring somebody to make the necessary changes to move up or to get the job done. As leaders, we inspire. As leaders, we entice. As leaders, we invite, entice, inspire. Not threaten. New kind of leadership. Be bold, but not a bully. Next, be kind, but not weak. Some people mistake weakness for kindness. It is a great mistake. Kindness isn't weak. Kindness is a certain unusual strength. But don't say, I must be weak in order to be kind. The answer is no. Sometimes you have to be unusually strong to be kind. Somebody coined the expression, tough love. Love that really tells the truth and levels, sometimes with a broken heart, but whatever has to be said, has to be said. Kind but not weak. Here's another one that's excellent. Be thoughtful but not lazy. We need to give thought, but we also need to take action.
As you grow up and get older, you start realizing what actually makes sense for your life and what don't make sense for your life. You may revisit the things that don't make sense for your life occasionally sometimes, but that's when you decide that you want to have that moment. But for the most part, because I grew up with my brothers and sisters doesn't mean that we're actually going to walk in the same path. Because I have my friends that I grew up with doesn't mean that we're going to move and walk and have our lives, family, mind state, career choice, the way we think, the way we move, moving in the same direction. Some of y'all are loyal. Have this power struggle with this concept called loyalty. You're so loyal. You're watching your career and your life and your surroundings crash and burn because you're being loyal to those friends. They're insecure and threatened by you, and anything that you do and any move that you make, they ask you questions like, yo, what you got going on? And they seem to be curious. But as soon as you share that information deep down inside, they are angry and mad and jealous and envious about anything that you have going. But you're so loyal. You're so emotionally tied to these people that you found yourself being committed to because you grew up with them, because you know, because they have the same blood as you. You hold on to things that don't make sense for the new season of your life. But because you actually know them, because you're comfortable, because you're used to it, because they may know all of your business and your secrets, you hold on to dead weight. People are in your life for a reason. Other people are there for a season. But it's important to recognize when people's seasons are over.
I found some people you have to love from a distance. They're still my friends, but they're not in my inner circle. Don't cast your pearl among swine. You could say your pearl is your gift, your personality. It's who you are. When you get around true friends, people that really believe in you, they won't be jealous of your gifts. They won't try to talk you out of your dreams. It'll be just the opposite. They'll help you develop your pearl, polish your pearl, enhance your pearl, grow your pearl. In other words, they'll give you ideas. They'll help push you further along. You shouldn't stay around people that don't value your gifts and appreciate what you have to offer. That's casting your pearl among swine.
You need to dream without just being a dreamer. Head in the clouds, yes, dreaming lofty dreams, but feet on the ground. Here's 2 or 3 more. These are excellent. Be humble but not timid. Some people mistake timidity for humility. Humility is a virtue. Timidity is an illness. It can be cured. It can be managed. And if you are timid, you got to work on it. I'm telling you, it's a weakness. It's not a virtue. But you must turn your timidity into strength and keep working on it and keep working on it until finally you have driven it into such a small corner that it does not devastate your life anymore. But humility is a virtue. Expands your ability to understand the vastness of it all and how small we are in relation to everything. Humility that causes you to get on your knees and talk to a child without any fear how you'll look. Humility to understand, yes, humans are unique, but in the vast space of it all, we're all pretty small. Yes, we know, but what we don't know is so much greater than what we do. Here's a couple of more. Be proud without being arrogant. There's something to be said for team pride and community pride, company pride, personal pride. But don't cross the line to where your being proud now becomes arrogance. Pride we need, arrogance we don't. Arrogance is usually the childish attempt to make up for lack of self-worth. The childish attempt to make up for lack of self-worth has a tendency to create arrogance. And you know the worst kind of arrogance? Arrogance from ignorance. That's the worst kind. If a guy's smart and arrogant, we can tolerate that. But if a guy's dumb and arrogant, that's hard to take. So now, all leaders must learn the basic laws so they can use them as illustrations as well as use them for productivity. Here's the first of the basic laws. Whatever you sow, you reap. Now here's another way to put it on the positive side. In order to reap, you must sow. Reaping is reserved for those who sow, who plant. To deserve the harvest, you must plant the seed, take care of it in the summer, carefully harvest it, and then do wise things with the harvest. Now, here's the rest of the law of sowing and reaping. If you sow good, you reap good. If you sow bad, you reap bad. You can't sow bad and hope for good. You can't plant weeds and hope for flowers. It works both positive and negative. Now, here's something else about the law of sowing and reaping. You don't reap what you sow. You reap much more than what you sow. Now, here's what's important to understand on that. It works both positive and negative. The old prophet said, if you sow to the wind, you don't reap a wind. You reap a whirlwind. You got to be careful sowing to the wind. It doesn't come back as a wind. It comes back as a whirlwind. That's on the negative side. But now it also works on the positive side. If you plant a cup of corn, how much do you get back? A cup? No, a bushel for the cup. You get back much more than what you plant. That's the reason for planting, for the increase. Positive, negative. Now here's the next key to the law of sowing and reaping. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. The farmer plants the crop in the spring, takes care of it all summer, is an honorable man, loves his family, is a decent citizen. But the day before he sends the combines into the field, a hailstorm comes along and beats his crop into the ground, and it's gone, it's lost. So this time it didn't work. So now what must the farmer do? He's got to decide whether to do it again or not. Shall we take another chance in the next spring? We would advise him to do so, even though he lost everything in the last harvest. And it didn't work. You didn't reap what you sowed. But here's the law of averages. Here's the odds. More often than not, you reap what you sow. More often than not, you'll have a harvest if you plant in the spring. There's no guarantee, but more often than not. And guess what more often than not is? Pretty good odds. It's better than Las Vegas. Incredible. Next, one of the most important laws to learn is the law of averages. If you do something often enough, you'll get a ratio of results. Once you understand that, the world is yours. Learning to employ people in the unique thing called the law of averages is stunning in its result in terms of fortune, future. In baseball, we call it batting average. Swing 10 times, get a hit. Swing 10 times, get a hit. Nobody bats 9 out of 10. Some of these guys are getting $5, $6, $7 million a year, batting 2, 3 out of 10. So you don't have to be perfect here. All you have to do is understand the law of averages. Now, even if you're only getting 1 out of 10, you can now start to compete. If you've been here a long time, you can get 9 out of 10. I just joined, I can only get 1 out of 10. I'm telling you, if we have a contest, I will beat you. Say, well, you just started, how could you beat me? It's very simple. While you talk to 10 and get 9, I will talk to 100 and get 10. I win. Isn't that clever? Here's what I do if I'm new. I make up in numbers what I lack in skill. Once you understand the law of averages, I'm telling you, it's so exciting to work with the law of averages. Here's the next important law, called the law of faith. Faith is the ability to see things that don't yet exist. Faith, though, can turn difficulty into reality, positive reality. Here's what faith is for. Number 1, faith is the ability to see it as it is. Faith doesn't mind seeing it as it is because faith is a miracle worker. Faith does not ignore the negative. Faith uses the negative because if there was no negative, there'd be no need for faith. If everything is okay, what would you need faith for? You need faith because it isn't okay. Now, what isn't okay? Who knows? The situation that isn't okay. So here's what faith does. Number 1, faith does not ignore the negative because faith now stands as the miracle worker if you let it work. So faith sees it as it is. If it's ugly, it's ugly. If it isn't working, it isn't working. If it's a mess, it's a mess. It doesn't hurt to call a mess a mess. You don't need to fancy it up here. If it's broke, it's broke. If it's miserable, it's miserable. Faith doesn't mind admitting that. Faith doesn't mind seeing that. Here's why. Number 1, you can see it as it is. That's the beginning of faith, seeing it as it is. Now, here's the second step of faith. See it better than it is. Couldn't you see beyond the mess? The mess is for today. Couldn't you look into tomorrow? The answer is yes, I guess I could look into tomorrow. Humans have this incredible ability to look into tomorrow, to look into next week. Dream the dreams, make the plans, visualize, use your imagination, see it better than it is. Now here's the third step that turns faith into reality. Make it better than it is. Faith now must be invested in the muscle. But if you invest faith now in the action, you can take any situation and make it better than it is. Next, in the beginning of faith, seeing it as it is. Don't see it worse than it is. Don't blow it out of proportion. Some people have this tendency to blow it all out of proportion and say, well, it can't be that bad. If it's this bad, that's how bad it is. You don't need to multiply how bad it is by 10. Just as it is, that's the deal. As it is. Don't see it worse than it is. Now here's the next. Don't see it for more than it can become. There's a thin line between faith and folly. Yes, it's possible to see yourself as a millionaire, but not overnight. Somebody says, well, yes, I can see that. Don't see it for more than it can become in a reasonable period of time. Yes, if it dropped out of the sky overnight, but that's not likely. But it's still possible to be a millionaire. It's still possible to be rich and wealthy, given a certain amount of time working with the law of averages and all the rest of the stuff we've talked about today. So don't see it for more than it can become so that you move into folly instead of faith. Plenty is possible without being foolish. Now here's the next one. Give yourself a chance to understand that it could be far more in the future than what you can first see. Take the first step of what you can see, but give yourself a chance to be able to see it for more than what you first see it. On a foggy night, if all you can see is 100 feet, here's what you do. Walk that first 100 feet, now you can see another 100 feet. You can't see the 200 feet. But if you can see 100 feet, you walk the first 100 feet, now you can see another 100 feet. So I'm asking you to take the early steps of faith. Whatever you can see it possible to become, start believing that. Have faith for that. And I'm telling you, as that starts to exercise, you'll be able to see it for more and for more and for more. The possibilities will start to increase in your own imagination.